In this video, we're taking a deep dive into the world of Australia's rare one-penny coins from the reign of King George V. We'll explore the legendary 1913 penny that once sold for $182,000 to the 1922, 1923, 1927, and 1920 pennies fetching jaw-dropping amounts. These coins are more than metal. They are time capsules that have survived over a century. Before we dive even deeper into these amazing coins, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. That way, you won't miss any of our videos on rare coins. Get ready to see how a tiny piece of copper can hold a story, a legacy, and an extraordinary value that continues to amaze collectors and history lovers alike. Starting at number 5, we have the 1920 Australian one penny featuring King George V. This isn't just any penny, it's a rare gem that tells a story of an era long past, a coin that collectors dream about, and one that can carry an astonishing value. The 1920 Australian one penny may seem small and simple at first glance. On its surface, it appears just like the other copper pennies minted during the reign of King George V. But the story behind it, and its rarity, makes it an object of fascination for historians and coin collectors alike. King George V ruled from 1910 to 1936, a period marked by immense global change, including World War I and the beginning of modern Australia's economic development. Coins from his era carry not only monetary but also historical significance, and the 1920 penny is no exception. What makes this particular coin so captivating is the combination of its age, condition, and scarcity. During 1920, Australia was still recovering from the impact of World War I. Minting numbers were lower compared to later years, and coins that were released into circulation were often handled extensively, worn down, and in many cases lost to history. As a result, surviving coins in excellent condition are extremely rare. When you come across one that has retained its original detail, its lustrous copper sheen, and crisp edges, you're looking at something truly special. Now, let's talk design. On the obverse, you'll find a detailed portrait of King George V, a side profile that exudes authority and dignity. Every line of his facial features, every curve of his crown, was meticulously struck by the Royal Australian Mint. Flip the coin over, and the reverse proudly bears Commonwealth of Australia at the top, with one penny engraved in the center and the year 1920 of minting below. The design is framed by elegant decorative elements, reflecting the artistry of the Royal Australian Mint. This timeless design, paired with the dignified portrait of King George V on the obverse, makes the coin a prized collectible admired by historians and numismatists alike for its craftsmanship and historical significance. Condition, as always, plays a critical role in determining a coin's value. Numismatists use a grading system to evaluate coins, ranging from poor condition to the highly sought-after uncirculated state. Even small imperfections, tiny scratches, or discoloration can affect the price dramatically. The 1920 Australian one penny is particularly challenging because so few specimens have survived in near perfect condition. Most have been circulated, showing signs of wear, making an uncirculated or nearly flawless coin exceptionally rare and highly desirable. Provenance also adds a fascinating layer to the story. Some of these pennies come with rich histories, having passed through the hands of multiple generations or kept in private collections. Each coin becomes a storyteller, connecting us to Australia's early 20th century in a tangible way. It's not just about the metal, it's about the journey, the people who once carried it, the pockets it lived in, and the historical events it silently witnessed. Owning such a coin is like holding a small, silent witness to history, a link to an era that shaped the modern nation we know today. The rarity of the 1920 penny is further amplified by subtle variations that collectors obsess over. Differences in mint marks, die variations, and even tiny shifts in design details can make one coin significantly more valuable than another from the same year. Knowledgeable collectors spend years studying these nuances, and the market for these coins is highly competitive. Auctions, private sales, and collector networks often see bidding wars, as everyone wants a piece of this historical treasure. And now we arrive at the point that makes every coin enthusiast's heart race: the value. The 1920 Australian 1 penny in exceptional condition is not just a coin, it's a prized collectible. Over time, these coins have grown steadily in demand, and their rarity has created a strong market among serious numismatists. To put it into perspective, a prime example of this historic penny has been documented to fetch a staggering $25,400 in the collector's market. That's right, what might seem like a humble copper coin at first glance can be worth a small fortune to the right buyer. In conclusion, the 1920 Australian 1 penny King George V is far more than a simple piece of metal. It is a tangible piece of Australia's history, a work of art, and a collector's dream. Its value is derived not only from the copper it contains but from the story it tells, the rarity it embodies, and the generations of history it has survived. For those fortunate enough to encounter one in excellent condition, it represents a bridge between past and present, a reminder of the craftsmanship and culture of a bygone era, and, of course, an opportunity to own something truly remarkable. Next up, today, we are exploring one of Australia's most coveted numismatic treasures, the 1927 Australian 1 penny featuring King George V. On the surface, it might look like any ordinary coin from the early 20th century, but in the hands of collectors, it is a gem of immense rarity and significance. This coin isn't just money, it's a journey back to a different era, a tangible connection to Australia's past, and a symbol of craftsmanship that has stood the test of time. The story of the 1927 penny begins in an era of recovery and growth. Australia in the 1920s was emerging from the shadows of World War I, rebuilding its economy, and developing its national identity. King George V, whose reign spanned from 1910 to 1936, presided over these transformative years. His image, embossed on coins of the period, became synonymous with stability, continuity, and a touch of regal dignity. The 1927 penny is no exception. Its obverse features a finely detailed portrait of King George V, capturing both the authority and the calm presence of a monarch navigating a changing world. Flip the coin over, and the reverse proudly bears Commonwealth of Australia at the top, with 1 penny engraved in the center and the year 1927 of minting below. The design is framed by elegant decorative elements, reflecting the artistry of the Royal Australian Mint. This timeless design, paired with the dignified portrait of King George V on the obverse, makes the coin a prized collectible admired by historians and numismatists alike for its craftsmanship and historical significance. What truly makes the 1927 penny remarkable is its rarity. This year was part of a period when coin production in Australia faced both economic and logistical challenges. The number of pennies minted was lower than in other years, and over the decades, many were lost, damaged, or worn down in circulation. This means that surviving coins, especially those in excellent condition, are exceedingly rare. Finding one today that has retained its original luster, sharp detailing, and minimal wear is like discovering a hidden treasure, a direct link to Australia's past that has miraculously survived nearly 100 years. Collectors and numismatists are particularly interested in condition. Coins are graded on a scale ranging from poor to uncirculated, and even the smallest imperfections, tiny scratches, minor discoloration, or worn edges, can dramatically affect the coin's market value. The 1927 Australian 1 penny is especially challenging because most examples were circulated extensively. This makes pristine specimens extremely rare and highly sought after, often becoming the centerpiece of private collections or museum exhibits. Another factor that adds to the coin's allure is its historical context. Imagine the hands this coin has passed through over the decades, from the pockets of shopkeepers and farmers in 1920s Australia to the private collections of modern enthusiasts. Each scratch or patina tells a story of daily life, commerce, and history. For collectors, owning such a coin is more than a financial investment. It's like holding a small, silent witness to nearly a century of change, connecting them intimately to the world of the 1920s. Variations in minting also play a critical role in determining value. Subtle differences, such as minor shifts in die alignment, slight inconsistencies in lettering, or even the depth of the design, can make one 1927 penny significantly more valuable than another. Serious collectors dedicate years to studying these nuances, analyzing every detail under magnification, and participating in auctions where rare specimens can spark competitive bidding. The excitement is palpable, and the stakes are high, which is part of what makes collecting these coins so thrilling. Now let's talk about value. The 1927 Australian 1 penny King George V is considered one of the most desirable pennies among collectors due to its scarcity and condition. A top-grade, nearly flawless example is not just a coin, it is a prized collectible, a piece of history, and a tangible connection to an era long gone. To illustrate just how much collectors are willing to pay for such a rare treasure, one exceptional specimen has been known to fetch $52,600 in the market. That's right, what might look like a humble copper coin can carry an astonishingly high value, a testament to its rarity, historical significance, and appeal to collectors around the world. In the end, the 1927 Australian 1 penny King George V represents far more than its metal content. It is a piece of history, an artifact of artistry, and a collector's dream. From the striking portrait of King George V to the iconic kangaroo on the reverse, from its survival through nearly a century to the stories it carries, this coin is a remarkable window into Australia's past. For those who are fortunate enough to hold one, it is not only a treasure but a tangible reminder of the craftsmanship, culture, and history that have shaped the nation. The 1927 penny is more than currency, it is a legacy preserved in copper, a testament to the enduring allure of Australia's numismatic heritage. Next up, the 1923 Australian 1 penny featuring King George V is one of the most fascinating coins in Australia's numismatic history. To the untrained eye, it might seem like an ordinary penny, but for collectors and historians, it is a rare gem, a piece of art, and a silent witness to nearly a century of change. This coin carries a story of a nation in transition, a monarchy in the early 20th century, and the enduring craftsmanship of the Royal Australian Mint. The year 1923 was a pivotal period in Australia. The country was in the midst of recovery from the First World War, adjusting to economic challenges, and shaping its identity on the world stage. King George V, who reigned from 1910 to 1936, was a figure of stability during these transformative years. His image, immortalized on coins, was not just a symbol of authority, but also of continuity and tradition. On the 1923 penny, the king's portrait is meticulously engraved, capturing his dignified expression and regal presence. Every detail, from the crown to the subtle lines on his face, reflects the precision and artistry of the minting process. Turning the coin over reveals and the reverse proudly bears Commonwealth of Australia at the top, with 1 penny engraved in the center and the year 1923 of minting below. The design is framed by elegant decorative elements, reflecting the artistry of the Royal Australian Mint. This timeless design, paired with the dignified portrait of King George V on the obverse, makes the coin a prized collectible admired by historians and numismatists alike for its craftsmanship and historical significance. What sets the 1923 Australian 1 penny apart from other pennies of the era is its rarity. Minting during the early 1920s was influenced by a variety of factors, including economic constraints and material shortages. Many coins produced during this period were circulated extensively, leading to wear, damage, and in many cases, loss. Today, Surviving coins in exceptional condition are incredibly rare. Finding one with sharp detail, minimal wear, and original luster is like discovering a hidden treasure from a bygone era. It's not just a coin. It's a time capsule, preserved through decades of history. Condition is paramount in determining the value of this coin. Numismatists use a grading system that ranges from poor to uncirculated, and even the tiniest imperfections can significantly impact the price. A coin with scratches, corrosion, or worn edges is still valuable, but it is the pristine, high-grade specimens that truly capture the attention of collectors. The 1923 penny is particularly challenging because so few have survived in top condition, making those that do exceedingly rare and highly prized. The historical context adds another layer of fascination. Imagine the people who handled this coin nearly 100 years ago, shopkeepers, farmers, and everyday Australians going about their lives in a world vastly different from ours today. Each scratch and patina tells a story of everyday transactions, of commerce and life in 1920s Australia. For collectors, owning such a coin is more than a financial investment. It's a connection to history, a tangible link to the lives of people who lived in a very different era. Numismatic experts also pay attention to subtle variations in the coin's design. Minor differences in die alignment, lettering, or engraving details can make one 1923 penny far more valuable than another. Serious collectors spend years studying these nuances, and auctions for rare pennies are often competitive, with bids reflecting not only the coin's condition but also its historical significance and rarity. This is why the 1923 Australian 1 penny is considered a crown jewel among collectors. Now we arrive at the point that excites every coin enthusiast: the value. The 1923 Australian 1 penny King George V, especially in exceptional condition, is not merely a coin. It is a prized collector's item. Its scarcity, historical importance, and aesthetic appeal have driven its value to extraordinary heights. To put this into perspective, one remarkable specimen of this penny has been recorded to fetch $85,500 in the collector's market. That is the astonishing power of rarity, history, and beauty combined into a small piece of copper that can fit in the palm of your hand. In conclusion, the 1923 Australian 1 penny King George V is far more than just currency. It is a piece of history, a work of art, and a coveted collectible that bridges the past and the present. From the detailed portrait of the king to the iconic kangaroo on the reverse, from the coin's survival through nearly a century to the stories it silently carries, it is a tangible connection to a bygone era. For those fortunate enough to hold one, it represents history, artistry, and extraordinary value, encapsulating the enduring allure of Australia's numismatic heritage. The 1923 penny is not just a coin, it is a legacy, preserved in copper, that continues to inspire awe and admiration among collectors and historians alike. Next up, the 1922 Australian 1 penny featuring King George V is one of the rarest and most sought-after coins in Australian numismatics. To the casual observer, it may look like an ordinary penny, but for collectors and historians, it represents nearly a century of heritage, craftsmanship, and intrigue. This is not merely a coin, it is a time machine, connecting us to Australia's past and to a monarch whose reign witnessed some of the most transformative years in modern history. The 1922 penny comes from a period when Australia was experiencing significant social and economic changes. The country was emerging from the aftermath of World War I and navigating the challenges of the early 1920s, including economic recovery, technological advancements, and a growing sense of national identity. King George V, who ruled from 1910 to 1936, was a symbol of stability during this time. His image, immortalized on coins, carried a sense of dignity and authority that resonated with Australians. The obverse of the 1922 penny features a finely detailed portrait of the king, every line and curve meticulously struck by the mint. It is a subtle yet powerful reminder of the era's craftsmanship and attention to detail. Flip the coin over, and the reverse proudly bears Commonwealth of Australia at the top, with one penny engraved in the center and the year of 1922 minting below. The design is framed by elegant decorative elements, reflecting the artistry of the Royal Australian Mint. This timeless design, paired with the dignified portrait of King George V on the obverse, makes the coin a prized collectible admired by historians and numismatists alike for its craftsmanship and historical significance. What truly sets the 1922 Australian 1 penny apart is its extreme rarity. Unlike other years, the 1922 penny was struck in exceptionally limited numbers, making surviving examples almost mythical in the world of coin collecting. Many of the coins that were produced were circulated heavily and suffered wear, loss, or damage over time. Finding one today in pristine or near-pristine condition is an extraordinary feat, akin to discovering a hidden treasure that has survived nearly a century against all odds. It is this scarcity that fuels the coin's mystique and makes it one of the crown jewels of Australian numismatics. Condition is a critical factor in assessing the value of this coin. Numismatists grade coins on a scale ranging from poor to uncirculated, and even minor imperfections can greatly influence the market price. For the 1922 penny, which is already exceedingly rare, a coin in new perfect condition is an absolute prize. Collectors and auction houses place immense value on such specimens, and the excitement surrounding these coins can lead to intense competition, sometimes resulting in astronomical prices. The historical significance of the 1922 penny adds another layer of allure. Imagine the countless hands it passed through over the decades, from shopkeepers and workers in 1920s Australia to private collectors and museums today. Each scratch, patina, or mark tells a story, providing a tangible connection to a world that existed nearly 100 years ago. Owning this coin is more than a financial investment. It is a chance to hold a piece of living history, to connect with the lives and times of Australians who walked the streets almost a century ago. Collectors also pay close attention to subtle variations in design, such as slight differences in die alignment, lettering, and engraving details. These tiny nuances can dramatically increase the coin's value, making some 1922 pennies far more coveted than others. Serious collectors study these variations meticulously, and auctions for rare specimens often become intense battlegrounds for anyone seeking to acquire a piece of numismatic history. And now we come to the moment that every coin enthusiast eagerly anticipates: the value. The 1922 Australian 1 penny King George V is one of the most valuable and collectible pennies in Australia. Its rarity, historical significance, and exceptional condition make it a highly prized possession. To put this into perspective, a top-grade 1922 penny has been recorded to fetch $120,000 in the collector's market. That's right, what might seem like a simple copper coin can carry an astounding value, reflecting its scarcity, its historical weight, and the fascination it holds for collectors worldwide. In conclusion, the 1922 Australian 1 penny King George V is far more than a piece of currency. It is a work of art, a relic of history, and one of the most sought-after treasures in the world of numismatics. From the detailed portrait of the king to the iconic kangaroo on the reverse, from its survival through nearly a century to the stories it silently carries, this coin is a remarkable link to the past. Holding it is like holding a story, a legacy, and a testament to the craftsmanship, culture, and history of early 20th century Australia. The 1922 penny is not merely a coin, it is a treasure, a symbol, and a living piece of history that continues to captivate collectors and historians alike. Next up, finally, topping our list at number 1 is the 1913 Australian 1 penny featuring King George V, is one of the rarest and most coveted coins in Australian numismatics. At first glance, it might seem like a simple penny, but for collectors and historians, it represents almost 110 years of history, artistry, and intrigue. This coin is more than currency. It is a bridge to the past, a tangible connection to an era when Australia was still finding its footing as a young nation. The year 1913 was a fascinating time in Australian history. The country had recently federated less than a decade earlier, and its identity as a unified nation was still developing. Economically, socially, and politically, Australia was in a state of transformation. King George V, who reigned from 1910 to 1936, embodied stability during these changing times. His portrait, immortalized on coins, carried both authority and dignity, and the 1913 penny is a perfect example of the meticulous artistry of the era. Every detail in the king's profile, from the crown on his head to the intricate lines of his face, was carefully struck, reflecting the precision and craftsmanship of the Royal Australian Mint. On the reverse side, proudly bears Commonwealth of Australia at the top, with one penny engraved in the center and the year of 1913 minting below. The design is framed by elegant decorative elements, reflecting the artistry of the Royal Australian Mint. This timeless design, paired with the dignified portrait of King George V on the obverse, makes the coin a prized collectible admired by historians and numismatists alike for its craftsmanship and historical significance. What truly sets the 1913 Australian 1 penny apart is its extreme rarity. During this period, coin production was limited, and many coins issued in 1913 were circulated heavily, resulting in wear, damage, or loss over time. Unlike pennies from later years, surviving examples of the 1913 penny are exceedingly rare, especially those in high-grade condition. To find one today in new perfect or uncirculated condition is nothing short of extraordinary. It is as if a treasure has been preserved against the odds for over a century, waiting for the right collector to uncover it. Condition is critical when assessing the value of this coin. Numismatists grade coins on a spectrum from poor to uncirculated, and even minor imperfections, small scratches, discoloration, or worn edges, can dramatically influence a coin's price. The 1913 penny is particularly significant because so few examples exist in excellent condition. This rarity, combined with historical importance and aesthetic appeal, makes it one of the most sought-after Australian coins in existence. The historical context adds even more intrigue. Consider the hands that once held this coin: shopkeepers, farmers, tradesmen, and ordinary Australians going about their daily lives in 1913. Each scratch, patina, or subtle wear on the coin tells a story of everyday transactions and experiences from over a century ago. Owning a coin like this is not just about monetary value. It is about holding a tangible piece of living history, a direct connection to the people and events that shaped modern Australia. Collectors also examine subtle variations in minting, which can dramatically increase a coin's value. Differences in die alignment, engraving details, or even minute shifts in the lettering can make one 1913 penny more desirable than another. Serious collectors dedicate years to studying these nuances, poring over each coin under magnification to uncover rare features that enhance both historical and financial value. Auctions for rare coins like the 1913 penny often become high-stakes events, where collectors compete fiercely to secure these numismatic treasures. And now we reach the moment every coin enthusiast eagerly anticipates: the value. The 1913 Australian 1 penny King George V is not just a coin, it is a legend among collectors. Its rarity, historical significance, and exceptional condition make it an extraordinary collector's item. To give you an idea of just how coveted this coin is, one remarkable specimen has been known to fetch $182,400 in the collector's market. Yes, a small copper coin that once circulated in the pockets of ordinary Australians over a century ago can command a value that astounds even the most seasoned collectors. In conclusion, the 1913 Australian 1 penny King George V is far more than mere currency. It is a work of art, a fragment of history, and a collector's dream. From the intricately detailed portrait of the king to the iconic kangaroo on the reverse, From its survival across more than a century to the stories it carries silently, this coin is a window into Australia's past. Holding it in your hand is like holding a story, a legacy, and a testament to the craftsmanship, culture, and history of early 20th century Australia. The 1913 penny is not just a coin, it is a treasure, a piece of history preserved in copper, and one of the most remarkable symbols of Australia's numismatic heritage.